Over the last week or so, we've shared with you stories from business owners all over the Nen Valley as part of the Recovery Through Enterprise Business Festival. Today, as we wrap up the season with one last episode, we're doing things slightly differently as we're joined by some of the organisers of the festival to talk about what we've learned, the wider aims for the rest of the Recovery Through Enterprise project, and the kinds of help and support and assistance available to businesses locally right now, as well as their plans for the future. Don't forget, even though last week's Business Festival is now behind us, you can still find all of the videos from the sessions and webinars that took place throughout the week, as well as a range of other information for businesses at our website, recoverythroughenterprise.co.uk. And don't forget, you can also connect with us on social media by finding the dedicated Recovery Through Enterprise pages on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. If you missed any episodes through our podcast season, then be sure to look them up in your podcast app of choice. For now, though, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you with us.
Well, I really appreciate you all taking the time to chat through with us this afternoon. Hopefully we won't take up too much of your time, but really just keen to pick all of your guys' brains on the business festival, really. The outcomes of it, whether or not we've been deemed a success or not. And I guess what you guys are up to for the future, really. I wonder if a good place to start might be just for you to all introduce yourselves briefly before we crack on. I know perhaps some people might have seen the videos during the week, but for those who haven't, joined by Karen Williams, James Tennant, Anna Maria Cass, and Lottie Marshall from East Northants Council. Good afternoon to everybody. How are you all?
Hello, Ben. I think we're all well. It's
all well. A little frazzled.
Tuesday, isn't it? I keep forgetting what day it is. It is a Tuesday, yes. Yeah.
We're just about. Well, before we get too far into our list of questions, I'm going to get all of you to just introduce yourselves briefly at that end. So who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll start. So I'm Karen Williams. I'm Tourism Development Officer at East Northamptonshire Council. And I think the Business Festival is something I came up with because I couldn't do my own tourism festival back in September. So very similar to the tourism elements, just wanted to bring the business community together. And we've never done it before. And just wanted to try something new, really, and positive.
Nice. James, do you want to go next?
Thank you, very kind. So, thank you. So I'm James, I'm the Business Account Manager working for Enterprising East Northants. And also, it's fair to say we all offer a service across Wellingborough as well at the moment. And from the 1st of April, it will be across the whole of North Northants with our colleagues from Kettering and Corby. I'm just really excited about the wide range of content that we put together last week. You know, Karen's vision, she's just shared there. And I've already had some emails I've been picking up this week from people saying, I missed, can I see? Where's the bit on, I missed the bit on inspiring your community. And, I'm just excited that that's happening already, which is good.
Awesome. Lottie, do you perhaps want to go next?
Yes, I'm working under the bracket of Recovery Through Enterprise for a fast track job match. My main role is just to broadcast everything that's available across all social media platforms and website. I think the highlight for me were definitely some of the podcasts, just to see what the sort of real life scenarios of the local businesses are, how they've been helped, what support's available. It was sort of heartfelt messages. I think that was quite important for people to relate to, really. I think they were definitely the highlights for me.
And Anna Maria.
Yes, hi, I'm Anna Maria Cast. I'm Enterprise Officer at East Northamptonshire Council. Yes, it was a really exciting week. A little bit like James has just said, lots of people calling us back saying, need the link, can you share the link, where do we find this? Working through the fast track job match element of things, and also I think for us as a team working very closely with the Dragon's Den, that was something that was absolutely amazing, which I'm happy to share a little bit more. But yeah, I think a tremendous week for everybody. So really glad that I was part of it, and I was, working alongside the team. It was fantastic.
Okay. Perfect. And Karen, I'm going to throw it back to you kind of immediately, because you teed us up quite nicely. It's a good place to start when you mentioned that this kind of business festival had originally come out of, I guess, the gap from the cancellation that was last year's Nen Valley Festival that didn't end up happening. What were you guys kind of broadly looking to try and kind of achieve and put together when you kind of sat down and started planning this event kind of right back at the end of last year? What was your initial kind of vision for the week, and has it ended up growing particularly outside of that original vision?
Yeah, well, obviously the business festival initially was going to take place in November. So James and Anna Maria and Lottie work very much with our partners, the University of Northampton, building business. So we already had a strong partnership, and we're already supporting businesses in a number of ways. And it just lended itself, to bringing all of those partners together to see how we can add value, really. So initially, it was supposed to be a very simple week. We already had existing events and activities. So it was about aligning all of that under the banner of this sort of like business festival, but also trying to be positive during a very difficult time with COVID. I think we were heading into lockdown too, which is why we had to postpone the November event. But, it wasn't all doom and gloom for us, because, yes, we had businesses that were struggling, but also we had new businesses starting up, and some businesses were doing really well and they wanted help with diversification. So it's all about trying to be positive and bringing all of that business community together and seeing how businesses were adapting, because it was quite positive. So that was the idea, really, based on what I've done for the visitor economy, and the fact that usually you start off with something quite small. Sure. But the same with my Nen Valley strategy. We started off with 5,000 visitors one year, and then a couple of years back we had 41,500 visitors. So I knew, if you start something off very small, the more partners then will want to join in, and it becomes more, than it should be. But yeah, so we decided to do something in February instead. And obviously we weren't aware at that point we were going to go back into another lockdown. But really quite conscious that, with the grants that we're supporting businesses with at the moment, they want to see a positive light at the end of the tunnel. And we felt as a team, we wanted to try and support them. But obviously, sharing stories, sharing best practice, looking at innovation and entrepreneurial, and those kind of types of opportunities was something that we wanted to look into. So, we started off with a very simple program, but I think as time went on, more partners wanted to add into the mix. So I'm not too sure how many events we had in the end, team, but I have to say I'm really, really proud of what we were able to achieve. And actually, I think, James, you said you wanted to do another business festival, which was amazing. A bit of a rest before we think about the next one. But, lots of positivity in our team. We have a unit at Rushden Lakes that we're hoping to reopen at some point as well. So it's all about how we support our businesses, but also recognising that, people will be out of work, and how we can actually match them with the right jobs that are out there at the moment. So, yes, I will be quiet now because I think I've said enough.
No, that's fine. And I wonder if that's perhaps a good opportunity maybe for James or Anna Maria, for one of you two to jump in and perhaps talk to some of the other things that are going on under that Recovery Through Enterprise banner, because obviously we've talked about the festival, and that's what we've all been very focused on for the last week or so. But, there's a whole range of other kind of activities and work happening under that banner locally as well that perhaps people might not have been aware about as well. So do you guys perhaps want to have a quick word about that work?
I think it was always about supporting the businesses. Obviously, the Fast Track Job Match for us was something that we really wanted to make sure that people get to know about it. We are working virtually at the moment. Hopefully, we'll get to open the unit at Rushden Lakes again. But for now, this is where we are. But at the same time, again, we're looking at how do we support those businesses. And it was great that we could go out to every single town and speak to different businesses to help them sort of raise their profile to say, hey, we're still here, Sure. We're still working. And that's the great thing. So for us, or for me, that was really important to get that. And what was great that within the webinars, everybody got to say something. And the business, I think every single town was represented. Now, with regards to the Fast Track Job Match, obviously on Monday we sort of kicked off with that. hopefully people were logging in, listening, going back, because I think that's where we want to support not only the local people, but the businesses as well.
Sure.
Making sure that they know exactly where to go to find the support. They can come in through the doors. We're friendly. We will speak to them about whatever they need. If they need further advice, we will make sure that we will pass them on to our partners, because obviously we work with our partners, but that was important to us that they know where to go with that. So I think that was great. But for us as well, it was like putting a bit of the fun element in that as well. So it's like, what can we do that's fun? So by bringing the business week, we spoke to the dragons, and that's when we brought the dragons in with some candidates. We had the support from the local colleges to say, right, here's the candidates. We narrowed them down to sort of 10 extremely great candidates, and that's what came along. And we thought it wasn't just there was some fun element in that as well. That's what I was trying to say. It was we took it serious. It's a serious matter. Recovery through enterprise with businesses was important, but we wanted to bring a bit of a fun element into that as well. So, working with James, obviously, very closely with businesses, we know exactly how hard it is. James will tell you people are struggling.
I was going to say, obviously, it is a tough time out there for lots of businesses and stuff. And as much as we can, hold up, good news stories and look at those kind of rays of light and stuff, how do you guys kind of assess the general mood across the Nen Valley at the moment from the conversations that you're having day to day? What kind of a place collectively do you think we're all in?
James?
I think it's... Go on, Anna Maria.
No, I was going to say, you've probably had a lot of conversation with businesses to answer that one.
It's thank you. Thanks, Anna-Maria. Thank you, Ben. Good question. I think it's really difficult, actually, because the one thing that is really clear with a small business is that every business is in a different place. Every business owner is working at a different pace.
Sure.
I think it's really mixed. I think I'm encouraged that there's a lot of positivity. I think the seasons help us, whatever we might think about it, we do like spring. There are literally lambs up the hill. When I walk out of Kettering now, there is a farm and there are little lambs, and they are very small and they do bounce.
Yeah.
And that does make you feel a bit more cheerful. And obviously, most of last week, we timed it really well, had a sunny week for the business festival. So obviously booked the weather as well. I think that helps. But that doesn't mean it's easy for everyone. My last call just before this was with riding stables who were hit by the floods, as well as the pandemic, and they're shut and they've got a massive bill, real damage. And yet riding stables, particularly in that patch of East Northants, there's lots of people with stables. They're really, it's a part of Northamptonshire that people go to for horse riding, and suddenly you can't do that. So they're really struggling. Equally, I might talk to somebody else who's really starting to get on their feet, and they're sensing the potential. Somebody else who's saying, I can see the end of the grant programme. Someone who's in the event business, in music, and they're beginning to think, look, in a couple of weeks' time, I'll be able to actually trade with people face to face, and then concerts will come back slowly. So I think we've got that hope now, which is good. And I guess the business festival just kind of, maybe it's built a bridge between the two kind of times that we've lived through, the really hard times, and maybe it's just helped to encourage us to look forward to what's coming next.
And what's the feedback been from the business community? And I realise we're only a couple of days out from the end of the festival, but I guess in some ways we're a week out from some of the things that happened early doors last week. Have you guys had a huge amount of kind of feedback, reaction from people locally? Has there been much come back into you guys?
I think from what I've seen on social platforms, now that people have got the funding, so obviously the financial worry overtakes everything. I think people are now concentrating on themselves. So there's a lot more around mental health and wellness and how you can improve yourself and your team in terms of positivity. So I think the grants, obviously they've done their foundation bit. They've saved the business essentially. I think now everyone's kind of collaborating and sort of working as a team and trying to get themselves positively back into the community. That's the feedback that I've sort of seen so far from social perspective.
I think James already mentioned as well, we've had a couple of inquiries through our website as well, obviously asking about the business festival. And that's where we were quite conscious we wanted to record it as well, because it's not going to be the best time for everybody to tune in.
Sure.
It's all relevant stuff that even, obviously I'm the tourism officer, but I'll be pushing all of that content out to our businesses, especially with self-catering. They're due to reopen in April. They might need a little bit of help to get their website organised and ready to go, maybe a few top tips with social media, maybe just wanting that business support. So, all of that is quite relevant, actually. But I think, didn't you get some inquiries last week, Anna Maria, as well?
Yeah. I've had a couple of calls. I've had a few inquiries as well, and some of them have actually gone to the town clerks that are then passed on to us as well. So it's been really positive, and obviously we're keeping a log of that. If it's something that we can help them there and then, we obviously will do. If it's something that needs to be passed on to our partners, but so it has been really, really good. I've also had some feedback from slightly out of sort of East Northants, because we've had a couple of I've got links also from Hertfordshire, so I've had quite a few sort of colleagues come back and said that was amazing, that was awesome, great that we've linked in here and we've done that, and also the candidates that came across that obviously took part in the Dragon's Den, that was also amazing, because I think their friends and family were watching that on YouTube. So again, I think the exposure has been amazing, and it's like, when are you doing the next one? Next time, can it not be virtual? Can we have a real one? It's like, oh my God, let's get over the first one, because I'm still just recovering from it. So very, very, really, really good. I mean, I can see your hair, Ben. You look like you've been pulling it out.
Oh yeah, no, it's got a big caveman at the minute, certainly. But there were times last week when it was a little bit standing on end.
We were,
a full-on week with one thing and another, I tell you.
Yeah, I mean, we need to do not for the bloopers reel, but we need to do the highlights, kind of, people that could get in, couldn't get in. It's the food poisoning episode, last minute changes.
Yes, we won't mention the food poisoning episode, yes.
No.
Yeah,
it wasn't virtual food poisoning, have to to each other. But yeah, I mean, that's all in the kind of spirit of the week, wasn't it, really? And just kind of handing things between us. And all doing that virtually, everyone's sitting in 5 different rooms, at home or wherever. Just brilliant. Just looking at the website traffic at the moment, so it's up on the Destination Nen Valley YouTube channel. And what I'm encouraging for me is that the sessions are being picked up slowly, and that's how it is. People are just dipping into the content that's appropriate to them, and some of the speakers obviously are sharing the content, which is great. And I think for me, another real bit of feedback, I think one of the things that's really exciting is the mix of people who came together last week. Really wide mix geographically. I think, I through the grant programme, I mean, it's hard to meet people these days, but through supporting businesses through the grant programme, that's where I met Mark Saggers. He's a well-known, well-respected TV commentator. And Ian, the photographer, and Robin, and that's why their session on Life Through a Lens was so exciting, because those guys are really at the cutting edge of kind of camera-based technology, if you like. And for me, meeting those people and be able to tell that story and just share that was just so exciting, so enriching. It would have been lovely to do it in a real building with real people. It's just such a shame we couldn't do that. So it's as close as we can get, really.
And I think I had a few kind of businesses approach me and say, oh, why weren't we involved? So I think I would like to turn that into the positive, to say we are going to do something again. It's where we can do it outside. But, we welcome every partner. We will work, with as many as we can. And actually, I think that's a plus, really. So if somebody said, well, they weren't involved, that means they wanted to be involved. Good, actually, moving forward. So, yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's still lots that we can offer in terms of business support. So I think the thing is, just because we did a business week doesn't mean that we're always supporting businesses.
Yeah.
Job Match will continue. I know James is working really hard, as I'm trying to support him as well in terms of phoning businesses. So, what we will hopefully try and do over the next few months is actually tailor the range of packages and support to businesses according to what their needs are. So, that will change moving forward. And as James has said, you know, businesses are at different stages, and hopefully we will have new businesses starting up, and that's the, you know, the circle of life, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it all sounds like this is pointing towards a business festival 2.0 later in the year. I hate to be the one that breaks it to you, Karen, but I think you've added another festival to your list for later in the year now.
Well, you know, I just think, you know, bringing everybody together, looking at being positive, you know, it definitely lends itself to another one. And again, you know, it was a pilot. I think it's worked really well for the first one, and all you can do is build on that and add value moving forward. So, you know, the world's our oyster. We can come up with all sorts. We're very creative as a team, I think it's fair to say. So, you know, who knows
absolutely
next.
Well, what would you say is the thing you've learned the most from the last week that you'll take into those planning sessions for the festival number 2? When
it comes to the crunch, people really do work together as a team. We yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes that was very apparent, you know, when something needs to be done, you roll up your sleeves and you get on with it. And we really showed we showed exactly how close we are as a team and how we can work well. And I think realising that all those businesses out there actually have appreciated what we've done, because the feedback has been amazing. And that was, because you never really know. You don't know until they tell you, oh, thank you for that, that was lovely. Or picking up the phone and saying, I really enjoyed doing that session with Ben. I thank you so much for the opportunity. And that's when there's those 2 little words, thank you. They mean a lot. They keep you going. They keep you motivated to carry on. So I think that's what I realised, that, yeah, people do really appreciate it when you show them that you care and you're listening. Yeah.
I like that. And tell me, in among a busy week, were there any kind of personal highlights for you guys on a personal level? Maybe a particular event or a kind of something that you were a part of? Is there anything particular that sticks with you guys on an individual level?
Well, no, I'm gonna play the general card, because obviously supporting, you know, the idea was to support all of the events. So I know that the team took on particular roles, and I mean, Lottie was amazing. I couldn't have done the social media without her. I guess my favourite, if I have to be honest, was the Tuesday morning, where we had a variety of guest speakers. So we had James kickstart the event. We had the Made in Northamptonshire food and drink story, but also we had Hilary Chipping that gave an overview of the economic, you know, situation, but also being positive and looking at, you know, the different sectors moving forward. But those kind of things where you can actually come in and hear from a range of guest speakers. And then in the afternoon, we had some breakout sessions so people could pick and choose what was of interest to them. So we had LinkedIn, websites. So we tried to give a bit of a variety. And actually, I love those kind of things where you can just pick and choose, but also that you can catch up later when you want to.
Sure.
I think that was my favourite, actually, because it was a full, fun-packed day, and there was a lot of takeaways, and they were very short, bite-sized sessions, because we just know that people are busy and there's only so much that they can take in one day. But yeah, that was my favourite.
Okay.
Well, my favourite was the Dragon's Den. I mean, delivering that was great. I think initially working with the candidates for the whole of the week, initially just finding out exactly what they were doing, supporting them, advising them a little bit about what you can and what you can't do, receiving their emails, many of them, lots and lots of phone calls, lots of texts.
Yeah.
As you know, I mean, I think my phone was going to, honestly, it was red hot. I think that then the day was great, and the fact that the feedback that I've had from them as well, the fact that, you know, we had a winner that walked away, obviously, with the £200 and, you know, the trophy. You had the two that came second that obviously got the £75. All of them were very grateful. They all got some money at the end. Not any, you know, they were all winners, so to speak. I do know that a few of them have been offered a few bits and pieces behind, you know, sort of behind the scenes, which the Dragons have obviously offered. So for me, that was such a highlight, and it was great that I went, you know, that evening you could reflect on what happened and think you've supported so many youngsters in putting forward a sort of an extra dream. And then finally, for me, the Friday afternoon, the Orly talking about health and well-being, that really that was great. That was kind of a personal favourite for me.
Yeah, she was lovely, Orly, and I had a very nice chat with her.
Yeah, then I know that was only just a tiny little bit of what she could speak about. There was lots more to come. So, but yeah, those were my personal favourites. Thank you.
I think for me, as an overview, it was nice to see that it's all ages as well that are doing different business things. So you have got your sort of independent bakers that are building themselves up and they need some support to recruit someone else, because actually everyone wants cake right now. To those established businesses that perhaps need some financial advice, or it was just really nice to see that there's a wide mix. It's not anything in particular that we were targeting. It's literally anything at all that's business related. And I think that's just really, really important. It's because for some people, I think they find it a bit daunting. The word business is a bit scary. Whereas I think once you've sort of listened to a few podcasts, you can literally plug in and listen to it on the go up for whatever it might be you're doing. You can get some really, really good pointers from it. You don't necessarily have to book in with anything. I mean, I think that's sort of been the main message for me across the whole of the sort of podcast and webinars, in that it is very relaxed, but it's also very important and very informative, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to just flip it on its side, actually, or flip it over and kind of go, a kind of real highlight for me was actually, we laughed about it earlier, the kind of food poisoning and stuff, but the guys who look after the website, making changes at last minute, checking all the links. For me, a real highlight was, can we do this? Yes, we can. And in the Friday session with Mark, Ian and Robin, and thinking about journalism and cameras and digital, we very much talked about the kind of business journey that businesses that weren't into digital media are now moving into digital media. And actually, that's been our journey as a council. Here we are working for the council, and now we've got a website, and we're doing video. All these kind of ridiculous things. Local authorities can't do that. Government can't do this. But we are doing it as a local authority, and we're not going to be the slickest people on the planet. We're not going to be the best at it. But actually, we've learned to do this together. We've worked with a range of partners. Ben, you've been brilliant in the background.
Yes, well, we should also thank you to Ben.
If it was actually in the days of the old analog, you'd have had cuttings and snippets of photographs all over.
Oh, it would have been fun.
Reels everywhere. Digital's so clean in that sense, but I know you've been up all hours and all days of the week doing the editing. So that for me is a real highlight. Can we do this? Yes, we can. It's been a great team effort, and I'm really proud of everybody.
Oh, that's awesome. And tell me, perhaps there's a nice kind of full stop, perhaps, and a look forward then. Is there anything that you guys are kind of perhaps working on at the moment that hasn't been announced yet that you might be able to hint at, or perhaps even if you want to just re-emphasize the calls to action and the main kind of takeaways that you want people to take away from this podcast, this business festival, and to take with them day to day?
If we could tell you, we'd tell you, Ben, but it's a secret. Shh. You can't wait that now. I mean,
look out for the town apps.
How we're moving forwards. Go on, Anna Maria.
Yeah, I was going to say, look out for the town apps, everybody, that are coming. So we've got a few. Rawn's is obviously up and running, so that's a good one. But we've got a few others that will be launching shortly. So mid-March, look out for those. And also, hopefully, we get the go-ahead for the unit at Rushton Lakes, so we can hopefully get that up and running, and people can come and visit us properly. So yeah, that's what we're really looking forward to.
But also, obviously, visit the website recoverythroughenterprise.co.uk. We always keep that up to speed, and James has done a fantastic job. So hopefully we'll be adding more content. But I think that is the go-to really to find out about business support, employability, and all of those things to do with the economy and everything moving forward, really.
Also, and I guess the social media channels would probably be a really useful place to connect to keep on top of new information coming forward as well. Lottie, I know you've been doing a lot of work in that area. Did you want to mention the places people can find Recovery Through Enterprise on social media as well?
Yeah, we've got Recovery Through Enterprise on Facebook, so at Recovery Through Enterprise. We've got LinkedIn, Recovery Through Enterprise, with a sub-page off of that fast track job match. So any of our partners, any local businesses, job centres, they'll all ping through on there. So there will be sort of daily posts on that one. And then coming up, we should have some more job fairs as well. So just tap into the social media platforms, and we'll let you know the dates and who's going to be attending. But equally, if anyone's got any sort of questions on any sort of employability, anything like that, then we're definitely the people to help out with that.
Perfect. Well, anybody got any final thoughts, pearls of wisdom, witticisms they want to share with the world before we wrap up the last podcast in our series for this time?
I would say if you've got an idea, go for it, because you can achieve it. And really, that's what the vision was behind this. Was, can we do this? Yes, we can. It was an idea. It was a vision. None of us have done this before, and I like to feel that in some way we've gone through that kind of journey of having the vision, putting the strategy in place, muddling through, getting there. And I just think, if we can share that with our business community, that comes from a big heart. It comes from a really genuine heart that wants to support. Yeah. We can't fix everything, but we just want to be part of the conversation that helps people out. So, it's been a real joy to do this with you.
Well, there we go. A big thanks for joining us throughout the Recovery Through Enterprise Business Festival, and indeed for listening to our festival podcast. It's been a lot of fun sharing these stories with you over the last week, and we really hope they've been of interest to you. A big thanks to all of the businesses who shared their stories with us, to Jason, Heidi, Jake, Dawn, Lucy, Kay, Taz, Philip, Jenny and Claire in Thrapston, as well as Donna, Stu and Councillor Lee Wilkes. Be sure to check out the Recovery Through Enterprise Project website for more information on the range of help and support available to local businesses across the Nen Valley. You can find the website at recoverythroughenterprise.co.uk, and in the meantime, connect with us on social media to make sure you don't miss any updates on future projects from us as well by finding our dedicated pages on LinkedIn and Facebook. We've been assisted tremendously in the editing, scheduling and delivery of this show by our colleagues at East North Hampshire Council. Big thanks to Karen Williams, Gemma Cattell, Charlotte Marshall, James Tennant and Anna Maria Cast. This show was created and produced by So Very Creative, and you can find out more information on us and our work at soverycreative.com. In the meantime, thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.